This is Ag Matters PM from the Iowa Agribusiness Radio Network, brought to you by the Iowa Soybean Association, your source for the latest Iowa ag news headlines right here in the heart of the heartland. With reports from our award-winning team of Dustin Hoffman, Riley Smith, Mark Magnuson, and Andy Peterson. Now, from the IARN studios in Des Moines, here's Riley.
Good day and welcome to Ag Matters PM on the Iowa Agribusiness Radio Network. I'm Riley Smith. Today is Tuesday, September 30th of 2025, the last day of September. We are so glad you can join us for today's show. In today's episode, I'll be talking with Alan Lockwood of GSI about GrainVue and their grain bin drying technology. Very timely as we are heading into harvest right now. We'll also have a check of the closing markets with Kenan Layden of agmarket.net. Something to note, a very good summary of the quarterly grain stocks report that came out today and the impact on the markets there. First, we'll go ahead and take a look at that interview with Alan Lockwood of GSI as he explains more first about GrainVue.
Right behind us, we've got the GrainVue system. Every year we're talking about it, and we've got new advancements, I think every year pretty much as well. Tell us about the latest updates to the GrainVue system.
Yeah, so this year we've got a couple new products on the hardware side for GrainVue. The first is the gateway that's here kind of right behind you. We've got an updated gateway that's a little more polished. It gives the users a little better understanding of how that system is operating right from that screen itself. It used to be 2 or 3 different pieces that we've now consolidated into one box. So from an installation perspective, it's a little bit more straightforward as well. The other piece that we've got new here is our fan control module. And what we've got is the ability to do that fan control wirelessly. So previous iteration of our product had a power and a communication cable that ran all the way to the top of the bin. With this wireless fan control module, we no longer have to have any of that communication or power lines running up the bin. So again, from an installation perspective, it's a little easier, but also if you've got a site that uses a lot of frequency drives or VFDs, sometimes you see electrical noise, and when you've got long runs of wire, electrical noise is not your friend. So with this wireless control, we eliminate the potential for that electrical interference to cause trouble with our fans.
I was going to say, just physically, fewer things to go wrong, less cords to worry about, and it just kind of streamlines that system. And I know streamlining is a big thing with GrainVue, right?
That's right. What we're trying to do is give farmers the information that they need to better manage their crop in the bin. One of the things that we're doing on the portal side is launching a rehydration mode. We think about rehydrating soybeans as one of the key selling factors of the GrainVue system, particularly in those areas where maybe you're harvesting your soybeans a little drier than you'd like, and you want to, of course, maximize that profit in the back end. So we're launching this rehydration mode that will give users the location to have just one target set point that they need to enter, and then the automation will take care of the rest.
I think that automation is really key because, of course, this does make it to where farmers have to worry about it less during the day, but it can run during the night as well and maybe take advantage of some temperatures or just conditions that are more optimal to run, right?
That's true. So the weather station that we've got with every fan control module is going to take into account that ambient temperature, ambient humidity, and it will turn the fans on and off regardless of the time of day. If you've said, yep, you can run at midnight and the conditions are right, the fans will turn on whether you're sleeping or standing there by the system.
And you mentioned the ease of installation. How does that process usually work for any grain bin that a farmer might have?
So the installation process is going to be fairly similar regardless of size. You'll have a number of temperature or moisture cables on the inside. Every bin is going to get one of these hub units. If you want to have the full automation, every bin is going to get a fan control module. We've got some other sensors, CO2 and plenum sensors that are available as well. And then you're going to have one gateway per bin site. So if you've got a site that's got one bin, you have a single gateway. If you've got a site that's got 15 little bins or small bins for some reason, that one gateway will serve all of those bins as well.
All right, Alan, lots of great information today. For anyone who can't come to Farm Progress and they'd like to learn more about the GrainVue system, how can they do that?
Yeah, certainly our dealer network would be equipped to answer those questions. We've got a dealer located on our grainsystems.com website. And on our grainsystems.com website, we've got a page exclusively dedicated to GrainVue where we give a lot of information about what the product is, brochures, all that information there at your fingertips.
Moving over here to the dryer side of things, Alan, could you tell us a bit of the highlights of the dryer portfolio that GSI offers?
Sure. So Riley, here at the Farm Progress Show in 2025, we're talking about our mixed flow dryer. This is mixed flow, of course, is not a new technology. This is our first year of full production in this mixed flow space. We've got a couple of key differentiators. One in the fans, we're using a double wheel dual inlet centrifugal that's got an airfoil blade, very similar to what you would see on your storage bins for aeration. What that does is gives us a little better airflow at the static pressures we typically see at drying when compared to a squirrel cage style blower you might see in other places. We've also got a single unload point that uses our GSI proven 7-inch meter rolls to make sure we're bringing that grain from top to bottom through that dryer to get to that optimum moisture at the outlet. This mixed flow dryer really is just one part of our broad portfolio of dryers that we at GSI have. Whether you've got low capacity needs and you need something very flexible, we've got our portable dryer offering, or you need optimal efficiency and you need a bunch of drying capacity, tower dryer is something that we've got. And one of the things that we've noticed as our portfolio has grown to be the broadest in the industry, we've noticed that customers want more information about those dryers, maybe before they get in to talk to their local dealer about what dryer might be right for them. So on our grainsystems.com website, we've got a little quiz that users can go through, answer a few questions about how many bushels a year do you harvest, how many hours do you typically dry a day, what's your harvest capacity, and then we'll make some recommendations about what might be the right dryer for your operation. Of course, our local dealer network is going to be best informed about how to specifically guide an individual customer, but we know every farm is different and there's not truly one dryer fits all.
And it's not even just area to area. You look farm to farm, down the road, someone might have better conditions for drying, better location. That just works slightly differently. And having all those options, I think, really makes it to cater it to each farm, right?
Absolutely. Every time you step onto a farmyard or a bin site, there's something different about it. Maybe a neighbor over here is growing corn, white corn for human consumption, and their needs for drying are very different than the person who's simply trying to put bushels through a dryer to send to an ethanol facility. So you're absolutely right, Riley.
So then is there anything else? We're going to let this go by real quick. Okay, is there anything else with the dryer portfolio side of things here at GSI that you would like our listeners to know about today?
Well, I would say that when we think about our portfolio of dryers, like I've mentioned, we've got everything from small dryers to large dryers in varying different configurations. I would simply say that keep an open mind to those dryers that are out there and think through what your goals are, what your needs are, and of course work with your local dealer to figure out what dryer is best for you.
And as always, Alan, how can producers get in touch for more information?
We've got our website, grainsystems.com, and on that website we've got lots of information on what our drying portfolio is. We also have our dealer locator. If you are unfamiliar with the GSI dealer in your area, we can use that dealer locator on our website to help get you in touch with one of our dealers.
That again was Alan Lockwood of GSI. We'll take a look at the closing markets and that quarterly grain stocks report next. But first, here's a word from our sponsor, the Iowa Soybean Association and the Soy Checkoff. This is Ag Matters PM.
Iowa Soybean Association is driven to deliver for Iowa's 40,000 soybean farmers. We're proud to provide objective agronomic research, a helping hand with soil and water stewardship, and timely industry news powered by the Soybean Checkoff. Learn more at iasoybeans.com.
It's time now for the Ag Matters PM Closing Market Summary, your source for market analysis and settlement prices from the day's trade in Chicago, courtesy of the folks at agmarket.net.
Welcome back to Ag Matters PM on the Iowa Agribusiness Radio Network, and it's time now to take a look at the closing markets with Kenan Layden of agmarket.net. Kenan, it's been a very busy day. I'm sure very busy in your office today. Had that quarterly grain stocks report. First off, what was the initial reaction in the grain markets?
Yeah, pretty bearish report. Corn actually holding in pretty well for how many stocks they found. Over the analyst estimates, about 195 million more bushels over USDA's last number, like around 207 million more bushels. So pretty bearish on that with the amount of acres we have this year. And corn's holding in there around its, some of its technical moving averages, which is good to see, but the report as a whole is not good for that corn complex. Soybeans probably got off the best, maybe a little decrease from the analyst estimates on the stocks, but soybeans continue to be pressured here with the other fundamental news, lack of China business, harvest rolling here, and good yields seen across much of the Midwest. And then wheat, another hammer for wheat. Just when you think a market can't get any more bearish, you get more bearish news. wheat stocks were also increased, so about 77 million more bushels from analyst estimates, and a lot of that came from the winter wheat. So more harvested acres in winter wheat. Why that wasn't given in previous reports, as markets were harvest data was coming in, is interesting, but a lot of more harvested acres in wheat, which led to an increase in the stocks.
And then as we move forward in harvest, a very different marketplace as well, going to be seeing a lot of things come to fruition through that. How is the market picture looking as we head into that season?
Yeah, I would say with this report, the number of corn acres, almost a bearish outlook. I mean, for some of those fundamentals, the good news with corn is, exports have continued to be at a blistering pace. And you can make an argument that's not just front loading of exports, that some of that is just demand that we stole from other places in the world with cheap corn prices. As we move into next year, stories to watch in that corn market would be things like the Brazilian weather. That goes for soybeans too. And then how many acres get planted with high fertilizer prices and low commodity prices. So it'll be interesting to see how this market reacts here over the coming few trading days, both in soys and corn, to this bearish report. There's been other bearish reports. The corn is kind of shrugged off. Market doesn't necessarily trade what the USDA is putting out. So we'll see how this trades, but it'll be interesting.
And then on the livestock side of things, I know that's not necessarily focused today with that big USDA report, but how did cattle and hogs trade today?
Yeah, so that's a tale of two cities. Cattle very positive today. Feeder cattle are up quite a bit, staying in line with that feeder cattle index. So trying to stay in line with that cash price, which, came in over 367 yesterday, which is, one of the higher numbers that's been printed, maybe the highest. And, that front October month reacted and all the other months followed. So cash continues to be supportive of the cattle market. Hog numbers, same thing. Lean hog index is still coming in above some of those front months. A little sell-off, but if you look at the managed money position in that lean hog complex, it's record long as of last Friday when the data was released. Do we get any more CFTC data, or do we get an October WASDE? I guess that will be up in the air. It doesn't look like it right now with how negotiations are going with the government internally.
All right, Kenan, lots of great information today for anyone who would like to get in touch with agmarket.net. How can they do that?
Yeah, just check us out online at agmarket.net.
Appreciate the information as always, Kenan, and we look forward to chatting again soon.
Thanks, Riley.
That again was Kenan Layden of agmarket.net. We'll take a look at how the numbers close through the market window at iowaagnet.com.
At the close, December corn down 6 even at 415.5. November soybeans down 8 3/4 at 1001 3/4. October soybean meal down 240 at 265.70. Soybean oil down 24 cents at 48.87. Chicago wheat down 11.5 at 508 even. Kansas City hard red winter wheat down 10.5 at 497 3/4. Minneapolis spring wheat down 6.5 at 562 3/4. December oats down 3/4 cent at 307.5. On the Merc, October live cattle up 52 at 231.85. October feeders up 482 at 361.02. Lean hogs down $1.30 at 99.85. October pork cutout went unchanged at 105.45. And October Class 3 milk up 27 cents at 17.26.
That's been a check of the markets here on Ag Matters PM, and that also brings us to the end of today's show. You can find all of our content on our website at iowaagnet.com. Also follow us on social media at Facebook, X, LinkedIn, and TikTok, and find our video content as well as previous episodes of AM PM on our YouTube channel. Make sure to subscribe and hit the notification bell to see when those videos go live. Also, on the YouTube channel, you will be able to find our morning, midday, and closing market podcasts, and you can find those on your favorite podcasting services on Apple, Amazon, Spotify, and Podbean. From the Iowa Agribusiness Radio Network studios in Des Moines, I'm Riley Smith. On behalf of Mark Magnuson, Andy Peterson, and Dustin Huffman, we thank you for watching. This has been Ag Matters PM.